Apex Legends has been out for almost a week now and players are still trying to learn all the game has to offer, including legend abilities and the best weapon combos. There aren't many tutorials in the game, so I thought that I'd put together and explain some of my favourite tips and tricks that I've picked up in my time playing so far. So to start, you run faster when you put your gun away. Use this to quickly escape, flank or get into the safe zone faster. By default, press 3 on PC to do this, and on console, hold Y or triangle. The mill dots on the full screen sniper scope scale and move correctly based on the distance to your target and projectile speed. With this plus the rangefinder, it's super easy to hit targets at long ranges. Here for example with the longbow, let's say I want to hit the top of the rock where it meets the grass. The rangefinder on the right is telling me it's about 560 meters away, so if I shoot in the center, my shot goes low. However, if I put what I want to hit on the 5 mark on the scope and shoot, my bullet will hit the target. Very simple. Use this to ensure that you're going to hit your first bullet on a long range target without missing and alerting them. When you're dropping in the game and playing as Mirage, you can use your decoy when gliding down. If you really want to bamboozle players in the sky, you can send your decoy off in one direction and then head somewhere else. This really does work well and it throws people off. They might spend ages looking out for a player who isn't there while you loot in a different location. Frag grenades, how do they work? As far as I can tell, there's no way to prime them, but as soon as you throw a grenade, it will start a 4-second timer before it explodes. Use this on long range targets to surprise them and not give them any time to escape the fuse. The trajectory line that you see is 100% accurate too, and insane long range grenade kills are possible if you use it right. Arc stars are a little different, but don't underestimate them. They rip through shields, can be stuck to targets and apply a slow effect. However, they don't start to tick down their fuse until they hit something. As soon as they stick, after 3 seconds they will explode. Really good for ambushing people, these things are. You may have found the Prowler PDW but instantly dismissed its value because by default it's a 5-round burst gun, and not many people like burst guns, especially for close range. However, if you manage to find the Hopper Select Fire Receiver attachment, you can enable full auto on this baby, and trust me, it shreds at close range and uses heavy ammo. It packs a real punch. Consider trying it out with the Hopper if you're lucky enough to find one. It might quickly become your new favourite primary weapon. Next, movement, very important in this game. You're going to want to slide as much as possible when moving to help make yourself less vulnerable to gunfire. Not only that, but you can slide for a very long time, so if you're wanting to get somewhere faster, it's often much easier to just slide down a hill, for example. Now sadly there's no wall running in Apex because even though it is set in the Titanfall universe, you don't play as pilots and you don't have jump packs, but you can climb walls that are really high. Run towards a wall, jump, and you'll do a little scramble to get up. You can't do this forever, but it does mean that you can reach ledges that may look out of reach. Well worth knowing. You can hang on to walls too by releasing forward just before you complete the vault animation. Useful if you want to chill or just cancel what you've done. There is no fall damage in Apex. Jump from whatever height you want and you're not going to suffer any damage whatsoever. I love this, and it's a breath of fresh air to not have to worry about taking damage when moving around. Landing on the supply ship right at the start of the game, whether it's in mid-air or already on the ground, can net you with some very strong loot from the get-go. Consider dropping onto these ships at the start, but be careful, they tend to be hot drops as many people go for them. Risk, reward, you choose. What about melee attacks? How do they work? As far as I can tell, they will only ever do 30 damage from any direction. You can do jump kicks too, but they don't seem to apply any more damage. They do look really cool though. And while we're on the subject, did you know that you can kick indoors? If you're sprinting, hit that melee key and you'll do a flying kick. Not quite sure how useful that is, but it looks damn cool and you'll make an entrance. I wonder if it would damage anyone stood behind it though. Maybe. I've not tested it. But pro tip, you can open and close doors when you're in the knockdown state to block off and hide from enemies. If you really need or want an item or attachment, piece of armor, whatever it is, open your inventory, highlight it and ping it. This will call out to your teammates. Works for ammo too. I just like to hear Pathfinder's voice though.
I need a barrel mod. I need optics. I need optics. I need a body shield.
This next tip isn't really about movement, but it's related to getting around the map. Dotted around you'll notice balloons with ropes. If you use those ropes and head up to the top of the balloon, your character will be able to go back into glide mode just like you do at the start of the game. Make sure that you're facing the direction you want to go before you ride to get more distance, and this means that you'll be able to travel far distances if you really need to get out of trouble or get away from the ring. Some of the characters in this game, especially the bigger ones, feel like they're moving slowly, but the developers have confirmed that all of the characters move at exactly the same speed. The reason for this is that some of the bigger characters have slower moving arm animations, and so they feel slower, but they're in fact the same speed. When a new round starts, a random hot zone will be displayed on the map with a blue circle. These areas are high tier loot and have a chance to spawn a fully kitted golden weapon. Definitely worth going to. When it comes to shooting bad guys, it's good to know what damage you're doing, and in this game it's color coded. Headshots are gold, then body damage is coded to the color of the shield or the armor that the enemy is wearing, so you've got your white, blue and purple. Gold shields have the same stats as purple, just with extra perks. If you get red damage, that means the player has no shield. If you break an enemy shield, you'll hear a smashing sound, and that's when you know that you should push, because people can heal really quick in this game. I'd also recommend going into the options and changing the damage numbers setting under gameplay. Put it to floating. I think honestly it makes a big difference. This way you will get a number with each hit rather than a cumulative number. One thing about armor as well, if you kill an enemy and go onto their body and see a blue shield, if you pick that up it will be at full shield even though you killed them. You of course may have drained all their shield when you downed them, but in their inventory it will give you a full shield back if you pick that armor up. No need to worry about replenishing or using your canisters. When you're looting enemy players, it's also really easy to know if there are attachments or ammo that you need, because if it has a red line through it, it means that you either have one of those items already or you don't have a weapon that it can be used on. It makes looting so much faster. And when you're looting out in the world, keep a lookout for little robots. They're the same robots you see in the cinematic when opening Apex crates. They're color coded and you can melee or shoot them and they will drop good loot. They make a little sound too, so easy to find. Attachments in this game automatically transfer to new weapons you've picked up if they fit. No more worrying about removing attachments first and transferring them across. If you have an attachment in your inventory that doesn't fit any of your weapons, but then you pick up a weapon that it would fit, the game automatically attaches it. Brilliant. It makes your life so much easier. It's also worth knowing that when you kill enemy players, their crates will be color coded based on what items they have. If the highest ranking item they have is a blue, then the crate will be blue. If the crate is gold, then that means they've got at least one gold item in their inventory. It doesn't guarantee a gold weapon, mind you. It could just be a gold attachment, but you at least have a good idea of what to expect and who to prioritize. They really have thought of everything. Speaking about gold items, it's worth knowing their benefits. Gold items can be found in the game, but they are immensely rare. But if you see airdrops coming in, make sure to loot them if you've got the chance. You could end up with a gold Mastiff shotgun, which is incredibly powerful. Or the Kraber sniper rifle, which is slow firing but it's got insane one-shot damage. You can also find gold attachments, such as the digital threat, which is a scope, and also gold gear that you can wear. The thing about the golden gear too is that it can offer passive perks. If you find a gold helmet, it will offer faster tactical and ultimates while you're wearing it. Gold armor means you'll gain full shield back if you execute an enemy. That's the finishing move that you can do on a downed opponent. And if you manage to get your hands on the gold backpack, it will mean that health and shield consumables take half as long to use. It's really quick, and the gold KO shield gives you the ability for a one-time self-revive if you go down. Some of these are more useful than others, but it's worth knowing their advantages. I mentioned passive abilities on gear too. Well, each of the legends has their own passive ability, so learn those well. For example, Wraith has a passive ability where you'll hear whispers if someone is aiming at you. Bangalore, on the other hand, moves faster if someone spots you or starts shooting at you while sprinting. Pathfinder has a really interesting passive where he can go to survey beacons that are dotted around the map on top of buildings, and if he uses them, it will tell him and the squad where the next zone is going to be. Every character has a passive, so it's worth knowing what they are for when you're playing and for when you're coming up against other players. One of the best features about Apex is the contextual ping system, so make sure you use it as much as possible. With this you can put down a simple marker, say to suggest an area to go to teammates, but it's way more than that. Hit the ping button on a supply box and it will tell your teammates where it is. Ping that same supply box that happens to be opened and the game will instead tell your teammates that it's been opened, so it's best to watch out. You can ping individual items on the ground as well, so for instance there may be a piece of armor or a weapon on the ground that you can directly ping and it will show up for your teammates. As well as that, you can use it to tell teammates where enemies are. Double tap the button and it automatically changes the ping to a red one to alert teammates to enemy locations. The whole system is just so well done, and you can tell that the team have spent a long time perfecting and refining it. Use it as much as you can because that's what it's there for. Arguably one of the biggest features of Apex that isn't in any other BR games is the ability for teammates to respawn back into the game. If a teammate goes down and then is killed, you've got a certain time limit to run over to their crate and pick up their chip. You can then take that chip to one of the respawn stations around the map. They're green on the map. Your teammate will then respawn back in on a dropship, but they won't have any of their gear and they will need to loot again. Each respawn station can only be used once. However, if 2 of your teammates die and you pick up both of their chips, you can use one station to revive them both at the same time. And that is about all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you learned something new, and I really hope that these tips and tricks can help you out in Apex Legends and get that victory for you. If you enjoyed it, please consider sharing the video and leaving a like down below. Thank you so much. Also, leave a comment if you've got any tips that you've learned that I didn't mention here. If you didn't like the video, dislike it, not a problem. Subscribe if you want to see more. Hit that bell, and I'll see you in the next one.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me.